you feel like this world is losing? And she says the spirit of family, that when she was about my age, people tend to work in family units, that things were done together and people taught together, people learned together, but she said everybody seems to be walking in their own direction nowadays. She says that we can't all move forward together if we're all focused in moving different directions, that we have to be open-minded and willing to help each other move forward, to help ourselves move forward. And I also asked her, what was when you were my age and what has changed? She said there was no technology when she was growing up, that in order to get a message across to somebody, you would have to say it face to face or write them a letter, that every word you say is valuable, a lot more valuable. She says that there's a lack of respect in the way that people treat each other, that she doesn't see humanity that it used to be. There's not as many good people, there's not as many people with a kind heart that are willing to help others and go the long way for them. And she says another problem that's happening in our generation is parents are leaving children to raise themselves. That all the technology that we've been given is kind of allowing people to basically have distractions all the time. That if you have a distraction, you don't have to pay attention to what's really there. So by giving your kids phones and iPads and tablets when you should be teaching them about nature and life, you're kind of failing to establish connection. You're failing to establish the importance of connection with people and those around you. I asked her if there was anything she would want to pass down from heart to our generation. And she said, love one another. Don't argue every time you turn around. And that spoke to me because it's not hard to love another, but it's easy to argue. It's easy to change your feelings and let something bad change how you feel about somebody. But that is not as important as it is to love somebody. I asked her what she thinks that our generation needs to do more of to follow our heart and live our truest mission. She says that we need to not be afraid of connecting, that connection is the most important thing in this world, even though there's so much hate, so much heaviness, so much dangerous people, that the most important thing is to remember to connect with the good ones and the ones that are worth connecting with. She said, follow your heart, embrace your spirit family, and benefiting others. The most important thing is trying to keep the family spirit together. To move in the same direction, we all have to think in the same direction, feel in the same direction. All the distractions going around us nowadays don't allow us to address the emotional differences we feel with one another, but that's one of the most vital things that we have to do in our generation, is reach understanding between each other. So my grandma grew up in Mescalero on one of the reservations, but she wasn't a full-blood native, so she got to attend the feasts and all that, but she never saw what happened inside the kivas. And so when I asked her, do you remember any traditions from the past, any of the people who you used to speak with, any of the elders from your time? And she told me that she doesn't really remember much of that other than the feasts. And to me, that kind of meant like, connection is the most important ceremony you can have. other than, like besides healing and spiritual rites and becoming self-aware, the ritual of connecting with your fellow human being is one of the most sacred. And that I asked her, do you think it's important for our generation to explore why our ancestors did the ceremonies they did, why they danced the way they did? And she says she thinks that's very important, that we need to remember who we were and why we did those dances, why we prepared those herbs the way we did. So we can create new ceremonies. A lot of the ceremonies and traditions from the past have been lost through time, but now that the galactic family is all coming back together, we can learn to create new sacred ceremonies. What I love seeing this generation, old and young, do is working together to achieve their goals. Even though we all have a different place in our emotion, in our mind, in our spirit, we all have goals that we want to attain. And we can help each other master these goals. One more thing I want to talk about is the nature of being empathic. Being empathic means that you feel emotions very intensely and you also feel the intensity of other people's emotions. I want to talk about the difference between an unaware empath and an empowered empath. An unaware empath tends to feel drained, constantly exhausted, can be codependent, may feel confused and lost, can attract narcissists, may be a people pleaser, and may get sucked into negative circles. That is the unaware empath, the person who feels connection deeply but is not aware of how to handle it. The empowered empath tends to be full of energy, is a great manifester, knows what he/she wants, sets clear and healthy intentions and boundaries, feels confident, feels balanced and grounded and clear-headed, and creates income by doing what she/he loves. I think one of the biggest dangers of being an empath in our generation is knowing which vibe to attract and which vibe to avoid. Being an empath almost automatically means that you're a healer because of the level you're able to connect with people with. So I guess my message right now is discernment. When you're feeling all those emotions and helping people sift through their self, find discernment, know the difference between your own emotional well-being and the well-being of the person you're trying to help. Ask me questions, Tammy. That's all I got.
How old is grandma?
My grandma's 88 years old. She's gonna be 89 on the 9th.
This month?
Yeah. Mescalero. Oh, I also want to share the 10 house rules my grandma has kept posted on her fridge since the 1950s. So I think these general house rules can also apply to our inner temple and our own home. Rose's home rules. If you open it, close it. If you drop it, pick it up. If you empty it, fill it up. If you turn it on, turn it off. If you dirty it, clean it. If you wear it, hang it up. If you sleep in it, make it up. If it rings, answer it. If it cries, love it. And I think these simple house rules can be applied to many aspects of our life. For example, if it rings, answer it. If you're feeling a call from the universe or from the people around you, do you just let your phone ring? Do you just ignore it and let it go to message? Sometimes we do, but it's important to answer those calls and understand why we're being called to do what we're being called to do.
We need to post that up here.
If you drop it, pick it up. That can be applied to our old dreams, our old skills, the things in life that we used to want that we forgot about. If you dropped it, pick it up. It might be worth it. If you empty it, fill it up. And I think that can apply to our emotional well-being and our physical health. Through the journey of life and being an empath, spending your time and energy with people, if you're feeling drained and empty, it's so important to take the time and space for yourself to fill your spirit back up, to give yourself care, to give yourself replenishment and nourishment so that you can do your mission.
What's the best way you find to do that?
Meditation, green tea, exercise, herbal medication once in a great while. If you turn it on, turn it off. I think this can be applied to maybe situations in life that are draining our energy. If you've turned yourself onto something that's wasting your time or energy, go ahead and turn it off. If it doesn't serve your higher purpose, turn it off. If you dirty it, clean it. To me, this applies especially to festivals and camping. Always appreciate your environment and where you come from and where you are. If you go camping and you make it dirty, clean it. If you go to someone's house and you make it dirty, clean it. If you have a conversation with somebody and it's really intense and brutal, and you guys kind of got on a bad emotional vibe, turn that conversation around, clean it. If you wear it, hang it up. To me, I think that can be applied to all of our egos, all the egos that we choose to wear every day, all the masks that we choose to show to other people. More important than wearing a mask, you have to be your true self. So that house rule can be applied to your ego. Whatever you wear, hang it up at some point and be your true self. If you sleep in it, make it up. I wonder what that can be applied to.
Does that mean partners or like what? Like
I don't know what people do in your nest. Make your nests. And this one can be applied to just nature in general. If it cries, love it. If you see that something's hurting or struggling, you don't have to teach it. You don't have to make it any sort of way. Just show it love. And hopefully by showing love, that teaches it the right way.
yeah.
And my final note would be to embrace your highest excitement. Embrace what's calling you to live. Embrace what's calling you to smile and thrive and be your best self. Embrace those people, embrace those situations, and embrace those opportunities in which you have to be a better person, in which you have the ability to help others and be kind. And be open-minded to understanding others during this chaotic time. Even though our ideas may contradict one another, more important than being right is being kind and understanding. And that's all I gotta say.
The perspective of a younger and older generation. Woo! So we'll be right back. Scooby is next on the